Hi, hello, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Alex, and today we're going to talk about books with watery depth vibes. I did a part one to this like when I very first started my YouTube channel not that long ago. And so yeah, we're going to do part two today. I need to apologize because the highway today, busy. I don't know where everybody needs to be today, but everybody's out today. So I'm sorry if it's like noisy. So when I started this list of like watery depth vibes in the first video, the part one, it's really like piratey, gloomy vibes, and this second part of the list is like not like that. It's more of like a weird interpretation of water. It all started out as like a good cohesive idea, and it's just sort of like unraveled somewhere along the way. Nevertheless, this is part two. Let's get into it. So the first book I'm going to talk about is To Kill a Kingdom by Alexandra Christo. This book has been like super duper popular for like the last year at least. So I feel like a lot of people have already read it. If you have not read it, yes. Okay, so it's basically like a Little Mermaid retelling, but you know, dark and sinister. So obviously this fits into the watery depths category pretty well because we are talking about like mermaids or sirens and like sea witches and things like that. Like it has a very heavy fantasy vibe. So I mean, I feel like it fits in the category pretty well. We have Princess Lyra. I think she's like 17, 18, something like that. Basically, a siren gets to kill a human every year, and they take their hearts. This is like siren's biggest joy of the year or something like that. And Lyra is the princess to the sea witch. Her kingdom is all of the sirens of the sea, basically. And something happens, and Lyra ends up killing another siren, and so the sea witch banishes her and turns her into a human, which is like the biggest insult ever, apparently. Like, sirens detest humans. And not only is she turned into a human, but her body is like dumped near where people hunt sirens. And the person that finds her is Prince Elian, which he's kind of like a very unconventional prince. Like, he doesn't want to take over his kingdom. He doesn't want to do that whole like arranged marriage thing. Like, hunting sirens is like his whole bag. So of course he's the one that finds her, and of course she knows who he is. So yeah, he rescues her, and like immediately like there's something up with this girl is what he's thinking. And the whole story is about her trying to get his heart, because that's what the sea witch has commanded of her. You get his heart in such and such amount of time. I let you come back as a siren. Basically, I don't banish you as a human or, you know, kill you. And his whole thing is he's found a weapon that will kill all sirens. It's like the siren killer weapon. And he's like, I'm gonna go find it. And so they end up together. She's secretly trying to kill him, but she's also trying to help him find the siren killer. Yeah. It's really good. I am extremely scatterbrained today. It's really hard for me to focus today for some reason. I don't know. Every little thing is distracting me. None of my thoughts are very cohesive. Let's just keep going with it and see maybe if it gets better. I don't know. So yeah, I think this fits really well in the watery depths category. Obviously, we have a lot of really great themes here. We have, you know, a Little Mermaid retelling. We have unconventional royalty theme. There is a lot of good representation in this book, which also made my little heart very happy. So we've got a lot of great representation. I thought the storyline was really fun, really interesting. There was definitely some dark vibes in there, which I really got into. And then the ending was so freaking good. So good. So yeah, this book. Even if you're not into like this whole video and what this category is, if you like The Little Mermaid, if you like dark retellings, fantasy, YA, that kind of thing, this book, please, okay? The next book I'm going to talk about is 10 by Gretchen McNeil. So I read this book like a hot minute ago. Like, it's been years, y'all. And I remember when I read it thinking like, it's okay. And it is. It's just okay. If you have read or have heard of And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, which, let's not get into Agatha Christie. I do not read her, but, you know, if you do, or if you've heard of that, that is the concept of this book, basically. Bunch of teens get on a boat, go to an island, they're gonna have a house party, it's great, they're getting ready to graduate, like, yeah, everything's fun, everything's fine. And then like this huge storm rolls in, they find this weird DVD, everyone gets super freaked out and wants to leave, but they can't leave, and then one by one they start dying. And it's up to our main character, of course, to solve the mystery and figure out who's killing everybody. So, Watery Depths vibes. We definitely get this like dark, stormy, stranded on an island type of vibe. There were a lot of plot holes with this story. It is YA, so I feel like it didn't have to be like super airtight because, you know, young adult characters are just kind of, I don't want to say dumb because they're not dumb. It's just like, at that time in your life, you really feel like super invincible, like nothing can touch you, you know? And I remember being that age. I remember feeling like that stupidly. I remember stupidly feeling like that, like nothing was gonna go wrong ever. That is definitely a theme in this book. So yeah, was it the best book I ever read? No. But it was decent. It was decent. I do think they turned this into a film. 100% sure it got turned into a film. And I do remember watching it, and actually the film did a really good job. They did diversify the characters, which I loved, and yeah, I wasn't disappointed in it. They stuck pretty well to the book, but yeah, 10. The last book I'm going to talk about today is The Beach by Alex Garland. Okay, Watery Depths vibes. This really is just like, again, island themed, like on an island. I don't know why I said Watery Depths vibe for this book. The ending was like, wow. So our main character, Richard, is a British backpacker, and you have to remember this was like probably in the 80s or the 90s when all this was happening, so it's like, you know, not all this technology type stuff. Like everyone kind of lived really fast and loose, especially if you were like in your 20s and like taking a gap year or traveling a lot, backpacking through Europe and like across the countries and stuff like that. It was just a completely different time to be alive back then, especially if you were a man. Like, really was not unsafe to travel alone at all. So we have Richard, who is a British backpacker, and he ends up in Bangkok, and he's staying at this like little hostel, and in the room next to him is some guy, and he gives him a map to a place called Eden. And Richard's whole character, you can tell there's some underlying like mental issues that we never get into, we never discuss, but there's just something a little bit disconnected there. Richard is really not feeling Bangkok that much. Like, he really kind of just wants to move forward, but he doesn't know where to go. I don't remember quite, but I don't know that there was a plan for this trip. I think he just kind of like packed up his stuff and was like, we'll see what happens. Which, you know, that kind of sounds like a vibe all on its own. So he gets this map, right? Eden is like a secret island, okay? That you can't get boats to. People don't really think it exists, or if it does exist, people won't go there. So he's super intrigued and he wants to go. And on his way to go there, he bumps into these other two French backpackers, a man and a woman, and he convinces him, like, let's go, it's going to be great. And so they do actually get there, and the book is about how paradise can, like, turn into not paradise if you're not careful. It has a little bit of like a cultish edge to it, which y'all know me and cults. Okay. It definitely has a cultish vibe to it, okay? And everything does start out like super fine, super cool, like just living in paradise off this island that's beautiful, and everyone's like living in peace and harmony. And then as you get further into it, you can see the like cracks in the facade and how things are not always like the best. And then the end of the book, man, the end of the book, I'll never forget this book, man. Like, it freaked me out. So actually, they did make a film based off this book, and it stars Leonardo DiCaprio, which I watched when I was too young to watch it. I was way too young to watch that film, but I watched it. And so I didn't actually know it was a book until I was like a full-fledged adult. Like maybe 3 or 4 years ago is when I found out that it was actually a book, and I decided to read it, and yeah. I really want to rewatch the film since I've read the book, because I want to really know. I can't remember how the end of the film went. I just remember thinking when I watched the film when I was young that it like didn't make a lot of sense. I didn't get it, and it probably would make a lot more sense now that I'm quite a bit older and like could actually digest the content of the film. But yeah, Watery Depths vibes, I don't know why I added this one, except for the end really freaked me out. And it felt just more like a Stranded in Paradise vibe to it. But yeah, I recommend this book to people. It definitely like freaked me out a little bit. Yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. Short and simple, chaotic, because why wouldn't it be? It's me. Make sure you hit all the buttons down below so you know when I'm posting. I post every week, talk about books, book recommendations, book reviews, book everything. So yeah, I think next week I'm going to finally unpack all my books. We bought this house in 2020, like right after the pandemic and everything happened. And I have just slowly been moving in. Very slowly. And my office where I am right now is kind of like the room that I don't do anything with. Like, I have a bunch of stuff in here, all my books. I've got some bookcases set up, really small ones, and I've got some decor, but like I have not done anything to this room. And so my boxes of books have just been sitting, and I actually haven't seen these books that are in these boxes for 2 years. So yeah, maybe next week we can unpack my books and organize my bookshelf finally. That might be fun, right? Could be fun. Leave me comments, hit the buttons. Come back next week for maybe a book organization film. Now that sounds boring. I'll try not to make it boring. See you guys next time. Bye.